Barbara Stanwyck's life was one of grit, grace, and unshakable principles. Born Ruby Catherine Stevens on July 16, 1907, in Brooklyn, New York, she endured a heartbreaking childhood marked by tragedy and loss. Her mother died in a streetcar accident, and her father abandoned the family shortly afterward, leaving young Ruby and her sister to navigate a harsh world alone. Those difficult early years, spent in foster homes and under her sister's care, shaped her into a fiercely independent, disciplined woman, qualities that would later define her legendary Hollywood career. Starting as a chorus girl in New York nightclubs during the roaring 1920s, Stanwyck quickly caught the eye of producers and transitioned to Broadway, earning acclaim for performances in the noose and burlesque. By the late 1920s, she had arrived in Hollywood, adopting the name Barbara Stanwyck and establishing herself as one of the screen's most magnetic presences. Her rise in the 1930s and 1940s was meteoric. From her Oscar-nominated performance in Stella Dallas to her unforgettable turn as the seductive Phyllis Dietrichson in Double Indemnity, Stanwyck embodied a rare mix of toughness and tenderness. She wasn't just acting. She was channeling the depth of someone who had truly lived. Whether in comedies like Ball of Fire or dramatic epics like The Lady Eve, she brought authenticity and emotional honesty that audiences connected with deeply. When many stars faded with the decline of the studio system, Stanwyck transitioned effortlessly into television, starring in The Big Valley, The Thornbirds, and The Colbys, earning multiple Emmy Awards and solidifying her reputation as one of the greatest performers of all time. Despite fame and fortune, she lived modestly and valued professionalism, humility, and respect, traits that won her admiration across Hollywood. But behind the spotlight, Stanwyck's personal life carried its share of turmoil. Her first marriage to comedian Frank Fay began with promise, but soon descended into chaos. Fay, once a celebrated Broadway star, struggled in Hollywood and grew increasingly bitter as Stanwyck's fame soared. His jealousy, fueled by heavy drinking and abuse, turned their marriage into a battlefield. In 1935, after 7 painful years, Stanwyck walked away, stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. 4 years later, she married actor Robert Taylor, and together they became one of Hollywood's golden couples. Their relationship, built on mutual respect and shared interests like horseback riding, seemed picture-perfect. But even their union wasn't immune to the strains of show business and long separations. When they divorced in 1952, it was quiet, dignified, and free of scandal. Though she never remarried, Taylor remained the great love of her life, and she spoke of him fondly for years after his death. Throughout her career, Barbara Stanwyck was known for being gracious, punctual, and deeply professional. But there was one man she could never stand: Raymond Burr. While she rarely expressed personal dislike publicly, her contempt for Burr was no secret on set. "I've worked with difficult people," she once said, "but with him, it wasn't difficult. It was impossible." Burr, then an ambitious character actor, often played domineering villains, and his behavior toward Stanwyck off-camera mirrored those roles. He was condescending, dismissive, and constantly challenged her authority. A fatal mistake with a woman who had fought her way to respect in a male-dominated industry. Burr reportedly tried to steal focus during scenes and offered her unsolicited direction, which Stanwyck found insulting. She never caused a scene, but the frost between them was unmistakable. Crew members recalled that even without a word, you could see her disdain in her eyes. What truly cemented her hatred, however, was Burr's hypocrisy. Stanwyck valued honesty above all else. She was transparent, disciplined, and expected others to be the same. Burr, on the other hand, was known for fabricating stories about his life, including false tales of a tragic marriage and a dead child. For Stanwyck, such deceit was unforgivable. "I've met liars in this business," she once said, But there's something particularly ugly about a man who lies to make himself look noble. She could tolerate arrogance or rivalry, but not dishonesty. After working with Burr, she refused to speak of him except with sharp, cutting brevity. "Don't mention that man to me," she reportedly told a colleague. "There are people I've worked with I'd never invite to dinner. He's one of them." For a woman known for her grace and restraint, such words spoke volumes. In the end, Barbara Stanwyck's disdain for Raymond Burr wasn't petty. It was moral. She despised manipulation, falsehood, and people who treated others as props for their own ego. To her, truth and professionalism were sacred, and Burr had violated both. "Once someone loses my respect," she once said, "there's no winning it back." That principle guided her entire life, through fame, heartbreak, and decades of Hollywood evolution. When she passed away on January 20, 1990, at the age of 82, she left behind no funeral, no spectacle, only ashes scattered quietly over Lone Pine, California, where she had once filmed her beloved westerns. It was a fitting farewell for a woman who lived and died on her own terms, honest, proud, and unyielding to the very end.